Welcome back to the channel. I'm Foreman, and today I'm going to be talking about whether it's time to quit. I mean YouTube. I don't mean my investments, because I think there's always a time to remain invested in the markets, even when you're in an age of retirement. But I mean YouTube in specific. And if you like the video, please drop one of these to help beat that YouTube algorithm, as it is much appreciated. So what's going on with the channel? How come the title says that my income is down 61%? And this is quite a crackingly high figure. Now, there's quite a bit of analysis that I've done with this. I've got the raw income figures that I'd like to show you, and I'm also going to explain probably why this has happened and what I'm going to do going forward. So I hope that if any of you out there are interested in what's going on more behind the scenes of the channel, like the other video, or perhaps how to look at it from a business perspective, perhaps as another content creator, you may be a content creator yourself, I hope that this is quite informative. Without further ado, my YouTube income for the month of August was £133.86. You might look at that and go, actually, that's quite good. You're a channel of 5,400 subscribers. That's great, right? Pat on the back, bravo, right? Well, it depends on your matter of perspective. This income has been stagnant for the last 5 or so months. And in fact, it's been slowly getting lower and lower and lower. And this is despite RPM, which is revenue per mil, and CPM, which is click-through rate per mil, I believe, which is basically RPM is pretty much how much money you're making. That is actually getting higher, but my income is actually lowering. This means I'm getting less views. I think this is due to the fact that YouTube is recommending my content less, and I think that YouTube is recommending my content less because my content has become more broader in topic. I haven't got a stock analysis series that I've routinely bring people back to, and so perhaps I feel that my audience isn't as interested in the modern content, and I full well expect this video to do quite poorly in terms of what other uploads are capable of. But when we compare this to my best month, which was November 2020, I had an income of £344.93. That is a significant difference, and in fact, I can explain exactly why this has happened. When we look towards the income side of things, we may want to look more specifically about what was happening in the month of November. Now, if I remember rightly, that could have been the time when people were going out again, but I think there was definitely a lockdown around that period. In fact, I think it happened just before Christmas. So basically, people were excited, people were happy to spend. It was winter, so there wasn't many outdoor activities and not that much sunlight. This had meant that people, whilst going out perhaps, were, or even then, they might have been more cautious to go out, so they likely stayed at home. People staying at home is a step in my direction because I count as entertainment, or I take up your time, for instance. Some people see that as a valuable investment, some people don't, and that is completely fair because everyone has different needs. Some people might be looking on YouTube to perhaps improve their mental health because they would like distractions from the real world. This is just an example. Myself providing this investment content creation, hopefully it provides value in that regard. I believe at this point in time, the click-through rate, well, not the click-through rate, my videos were being promoted a lot more because there were more people on their computers. At that time, people were saving money, lockdowns, people were losing jobs, so they were thinking, right, how do we get past this? How do we do better in the future? And how do I not end up in this situation again? I think that's where a lot of attention was brought to finance, especially with the stock markets doing very well, I believe, at that period, as they had rallied very significantly from the dip of March 2020. And so it seems like people were certainly a lot more interested in the YouTube space. Whereas now we fast forward, it's the month of September, I believe, and it's now, well, the weather's now starting to worsen again. But we need to think about the idea that the fact that people are likely very much sick of their screens. They don't want to be looking at computer screens all day. They want to go outside, enjoy the freedom that we currently have. There may be some fears over another lockdown. I don't know. That's not my point at all. The point stands that people want to go outside more. They've likely learned in the last on the last lockdown that they should spend more time appreciating the outdoors, seeing their friends and connecting with loved ones. So that likely means that the channel's overall views have dropped because less people are on YouTube in general, hence now why RPM is rising, or the income per advert revenue, at least 1,000 advert views. So this is likely pushing this up, but at the same time it becomes harder to attract the attention of these viewers, hence the balance where I'm losing views but advert income is going up. See, if I'd remained fairly stagnant, my income would be 2, but that's just not the case. Perhaps other niches are performing far better. And then when we look at my diversified income streams, because yes, as a content creator, or just as a person in general, you should have multiple income streams. My other income stream is through FREETRADE. And if you'd like to sign up to FREETRADE, you can get a free share worth up to £200 when you use my link in the description down below. This link then provides yourself a free share and myself a free share. This is effectively random luck, and I've not really had that great a result. I think the best free share I got was around about £30 to £40. Regardless, this becomes quite a consistent earner, and in the month of August I actually earned £65.34 through these free share referrals, although this was likely greatly boosted by the fact that they were doing a £10 at least minimum free share promotion, hence why it may be higher than other months. Recently, or not recently, in the past it used to be a good trade-off. I was getting the same amount of monetization views as I was getting referrals. This income was the same and it would represent a 50-50 split in my overall revenue, but I do also have more revenue streams. This is why I looked towards, as these were stagnating, I felt, right, I need to create a service, something I can provide to you guys at a small cost that would be worthwhile the investment, whilst also generating some money for the channel to make it prolong the survivability of the channel. In this way, I created a Patreon. This Patreon was created with value in mind. It was hoping that I would show you my entire watch list, what stocks I was interested in, what I would buy each week, and you get a live update on that. This is no longer available, or at least I don't promote it anymore, so my Patreon income is zero. In fact, my overall Patreon income is roughly £20.14. That's overall from the whole time of doing it. Admittedly, I had stopped about 3 months ago, stopped promoting the link. It's still there, but I don't think it really fits in how I run the channel and what kind of things I offer. I would love to give it value in the form of an investment or financial service, but you need to be very careful with certain legislations and certificates being needed, and so I'm kind of having to pull back from that. Although I would love to know another way of doing so, I've just not found one as of yet. And I think that this form of service just didn't really correlate with the channel. I was a long-term investor, only investing in a handful of stocks. I wasn't an exciting channel with loads of stocks in the portfolio, loads of free capital to invest. For instance, if I was earning more than the ISA limit, then I could have a second portfolio, and that could have been exclusive, for instance, and that could have been more speculative and much more entertaining. However, this is not the case, and I also do not wish to mislead viewers by using perhaps a practice trading account. So I noted at that point I needed a bit more diversification. Income with adverts was dropping. My free share referral income was also dropping. My Patreon was not bringing anything in, so I needed something a little more. And that's where I started doing Amazon affiliates. And in fact, I recently started reading books. You may be able to see The Intelligent Investor is just over my shoulder there, combined with The Art of Execution by Lee Freeman Shaw. That currently is my favorite read, and I've learned a lot from it, although I'm not going to bring that up in this video. But if you're interested in those reads and a little small amount of information on them, click the link in the description down below. Basically, when people go on to Amazon and they purchase the item that I've put on the link, I will then get a very small cut at no extra cost to the person buying it. And then also, if you click that link and then went, I would like to buy a Freddo, because we all know how expensive they are, that would also correlate with my link because it would have a form of cookie, I believe. And this means that if you bought that one as well, it would give me a small kickback for that product for the same no extra fee. And so this can generate some good passive income. My total income in August was £1.97, which I think was quite impressive because it was only 3 items. Although, regardless, this was actually reduced by 89 pence, and that was due to one of the items being refunded. But regardless, that was around 80 pence of income that I'd made, and a small start towards something that could be much bigger, and certainly a very passive income stream. And we also have interest. Bank interest I don't keep up with. I think it becomes very hard to track, and so I don't actually have any or much capital in bank accounts with zero interest. If I do, they are in those bank accounts because I have a small amount of capital. It's going to lose to inflation with this low interest rate environment anyway, and I'd rather not have to worry about the extra tax things that I have to do for the self-report. So the interest I do get is with FREETRADE. And in my general investment account, I have roughly 6 pence of interest in August and 124 pence or £1.24 if you're normal in my investment ISA. This is a very small amount of interest, and this is something that's likely not going to build up too massively unless I have more money. So I need to look to build more money. This means, is it a time to quit? Should I just focus on perhaps working another job, having more income, investing that income, because surely that's the greatest way to boost the value of my investments, right? I think not. I think at the moment I'm currently working a temp job as a cash controller. I think this has potential. I definitely think there's a chance here for experience on my CV so that then I can apply elsewhere, or potential for a full-time job in the future. If this happens, this will boost my income likely up by a large amount. I can focus time on that, time on YouTube in the background. Because if I start trying to get another job now and then trying to do both at the same time, I may end up draining myself too much, and then therefore them going, oh, actually, you're not really that great at the job, we're gonna let you go, we'll find someone else, for instance, for the temp job, or we just no longer need you anymore. So having that as something that could be draining a lot, I don't think that's the wise move. So I'm going to continue with YouTube, because everything I learn about stocks, shares, and investments, this doesn't only benefit the channel, but it also benefits myself. Because in order to teach, or at least in order to talk about topics on YouTube in an investment or financial space, you yourself need to be capable of understanding that to a good enough level. And I think this is a great way to learn things. And so I see the YouTube as an investment in myself, both my mental health, because I enjoy doing it, but also improving my knowledge in the investment and finance space. This could be through random comments asking me difficult questions. This could be just from keeping up with RNSs of companies, or this could be from criticism, for instance, of some of my holdings and what I plan to do. And so I think documenting this and having to show this makes it a lot more effective for me, because then I have to keep an eye on it. I have to think about it more, rather than just going, I'm going to bung off Boohoo and buy something else like Rolls Royce or something. That may be a bit of a ridiculous thing. Don't take that as serious, but the idea is there. So despite making likely a very small sum, which I didn't actually total because I forgot, this is roughly around £200 in income. And that's really not a lot, but it is something. I'm not going to quit because I've only made £200, but it means that hopefully I've troughed, and now in the future I'll be able to make more money. And I think during these times of pain or suffering, and this is loosely applying here, I think we get growth. We can grow from this. And this is the time where you're really thinking about your strategy the most. And I think in particular with YouTube and this business, it's now struggling. I'm almost struggling with it. And now I think this is where you've got to be and think outside of the box, and therefore you might throw out a random video idea that might have been more risky than usual, and you may have found a lot of success with it. So what I'm saying is that for myself, I'm going to keep grinding. If you're a content creator in a similar position, I think you should very much do the same. Or perhaps you're just an entrepreneur, you have your own business, but you're seeing a very similar impact. Perhaps you're struggling on revenue and it's becoming less sustainable. Perhaps now is the time to double down, really invest your time and energy into it and find a solution out of it. And if you enjoyed the video, thank you for watching. If you're interested in what stocks I bought right now, then click the card at the top right of the video. I'm Foreman. Have a fantastic day.